In this video, I am going to solve the first problem in the assignment 5, which is given an array, print the next greatest element for every element. The next greatest element for an element x is the first greatest element on the right side of x. Elements for which no greater element exists, consider next greater element as -1. So we have two examples here. In the first example, for the number 4, the next greatest element is 5 because 5 is greater than the 4. And if I see 5, the next element is 2, which is lesser, and then the next element is 25, which is greater than 5. So the next greatest element for 5 is 25, and for 2 it is 25. Since there is no elements on the right side of 25, it is considered as -1. And if we see the second example, here we don't have any number greater than 13 to the right side of it. So the next greatest element for 13 is -1, and same goes for next elements. For 7 and 6 it is 12, and since there is no elements to the right of 12, the next greatest element for 12 is -1. So to solve this problem, I'm going to use the stack data structure. Let's take an example. It's 6 and 12. So let's assume this is the input array that is given, and I'm going to use the stack. So this is the stack, and let's take a output array in which we are going to have our output, and the length of this output will be same as the input array. So we have 5, the length of the input array is 5, since we'll have 5 elements here. Now let's start with the first number in the input array, which is 13. And since there is no other numbers in the stack, we'll just store, we are storing the indexes of the numbers in the stack. So we'll store 0, and it is 13 at 0. Next we'll go to the second number, which is 7, and we'll check if 7 is greater than the last element in the stack, which is the top element in the stack. So 7 is not greater than 13. Then we just push the index of 7, which is 1, into the stack. And then we go to the next number, which is 8, and we'll check if 8 is greater than the last number in the stack. So at the index 1 we have 7. 8 is greater than 7. So now what we are going to do is, at index 1 in the output array, so this is the output array, we are going to store 8. At index 1 we'll store 8, and we are going to pop this out of the stack. So now we don't have this 1, and we'll just push the next index, which is 2, and the element is 8. Now we go to the next number, which is 6, and we'll check if 6 is greater than the 8. It is not, so we just push the index of 6. The next number is 12, and 12 is greater than 6. So at index 3 in the output array, we are going to push 12, and we are going to pop this out, so we don't have this in the stack. And then we'll check with the next element in the stack. So at index 2 we have 8. 8 is lesser than 12, so we'll just pop this out, and the element at index 2 will be pushed at index 2. So here we'll have 12 and 12 will be pushed here. Sorry, the index of 12, so which is a 4. Now we have iterated through the input array, and after finishing the iteration, what we'll do is we'll check the stack. What are the numbers that are left out is 13 and 12. For this for both of these numbers, we just put the -1 as the next greatest element. So this is our output element, output array, which means for 13 it is -1, for 7 it is 8, and for 8 it is 12, and for 6 it is 12, and for 12 since there is no other numbers on the right side, it is -1. Now let's implement the code. I'm gonna write a function with name find next greater element, and we'll give array as an input. I'm declaring a variable called output in which we are going to store the output elements. Let's assume let's declare a stack, which is an array, and now I'm going to start a for loop to iterate through the input array. So in the for loop, what we need to do is we need to check in the check with the element in and compare it with the last element in the stack. So I'm gonna use the while loop here, where array of I is greater than array of. So in the stack we are going to store the indexes, so I am just using the last element in the stack, so which means stack of stack dot length -1. In this we'll do if the array of I is greater, then we need to pop the element from the stack array, and we need to set at the index in the output array with array of I. Then we need to push the element in the stack, the index of that element in the stack. Here we have ended the for loop. Now what we need to do is we need to check if there are any left out elements in the stack, and then we need to loop through that. So I am using the while loop. If stack dot length is greater than 0, that means we have the elements left out in the stack. We're just gonna put -1 to all those numbers that are left out in the stack. -1. Now we'll just return the output array, which contains all the next greater elements for each element of the input array. Return output. So this is the code for implementing to know the next greater element for each element in the input array. Now let's check it with the previous example, which is this one. So 13, 7, 8, 6 and 12. So we have output and stack here. So let's assume this is stack, and we have the output with length same as the input array. So now let's start the for loop. It starts with the first element in the input array, and then we're going to check if array of I, which is 13, is greater than the so last element in the stack. Now the stack is empty, so this while loop doesn't work. Then we're just gonna do stack.push I. So we're going to push the index of the first element, which is 0, into the stack. I'm just writing for the reference the element at index 0 to the side of it. And then I increments, and now I becomes 1. And we'll check if 7, array of 1 is 7. If 7 is greater than the 13. It is not greater, so we're just going to push the index of 7, which is 1 here. Then we move to the next number, which is 8. At 8 we will check if 8 is greater than 7, which is the last index in the stack. It is greater, so what we'll do is output of stack.pop. So for stack.pop, we're just gonna pop this out, and in the output at the index 1, we'll push array of I, which is 8. So at 1, the next greater element is 8, and then we need to push to the stack the current I, which is 2. So at 2 we have 8. Now we go to the next number, which is 6, and we'll check if 6 is greater than 8, the top element in the stack. So it is not, so we just push the 6 to the index of 6 to the stack. Then we move to the next element, which is 12, and we'll compare if 12 is greater than 6. It is greater, so we'll just pop out the last index, and we push at index 3, we push the current element, which is 12. Now this is popped out, and the next element in the stack is index 2. At index 2 we have 8, and 8 is less than 12. So we pop out this one, and at index 2 we'll put 12 in the output array. And then we go to the next one, which is index 0, and we have 13 here. So 13 is greater than 12, so we don't do anything, and we push the 12 to the index of 12, which is 4, to the stack. Now since we have iterated through the input array, the for loop ends. Then we go to the next step, where we do the while stack.length is greater than 0. So we still have 2 elements in the stack, so the stack.length will be 2. Then what we are going to do is output of stack.pop, which means we'll take the top element in the stack, which is 4. So we are doing output of 4 equals to -1. Here goes -1, and then the next one is the stack.length is 1 now. It is still greater than 0. Hence we do output of stack.pop. So output of, we have 0, output of 0 is -1. Now the stack length becomes 0 and this while loop ends. Now we just return the output array, so which is this one. So for 13 the next greater element is -1, for 7 it is 8, for 8 and 6 it is 12, and for 12 it is -1. So this is the code for the to find the next greater element for each element in the array. Thank you.